The resolution of your TV or monitor doesn't matter anymore. We're finally reaching a point, one we already had with CRTs, where displays can be completely agnostic to your source format for movies, TV shows, and gaming. But we were missing the last piece of the puzzle. TV manufacturers need to get their crap together and start including more real useful features instead of just subjecting everyone to motion interpolation by default. AI upscaling techniques such as DLSS, FSR 2.0, and Intel's upcoming XeSS are great for PC gaming, where it can upscale the rendering process to your display's native res with ease. And tools like NVIDIA's Shield and LG's AI upscaling in their OLEDs are great for movies, along with OLED's phenomenal performance at 1440p and 4K on the same display. But what about sources that are locked to a lower resolution output like the Nintendo Switch? Enter the 4K Gamer Pro. This is a tiny little stick designed to upscale the Nintendo Switch to 4K. Switch Pro be damned. It takes HDMI input on one end, sends HDMI out the other end, and takes USB-C power. It can even be powered from the Switch dock itself, though it's worth noting that it works with any 1080p source, not just the Switch. There's 4 modes of operation at play here. Off, which just passes through the native 1080p signal, and then there's low, medium, and high modes for the scaling. Unfortunately, unlike retro scalers like the RetroTink 2X, 5X, or the OSSC, etc., the 4K Gamer Pro does not just scale the signal, it also applies some sharpening and adds tweaks to contrast and brightness. This is why there's a 3-stage scale for the processing. You will have to do some tweaking or look at my examples and see what you prefer, otherwise you'll have to get up and go all the way to your Switch dock to keep changing it, since they designed a product with a button to stay as close to the dock as possible. While retro gamers and pixel art enthusiasts would have preferred just straight integer or nearest neighbor scaling, for most modern 3D games, a little sharpening and such helps make the picture stand out more on your TV. Personally, looking at some side-by-side comparisons of the scaled 4K captures versus native 1080p being scaled up by my video editor, I think most of the time low or medium settings will be the sweet spot. But if you sit really far away from your TV, like I do in my in-home setup, the high setting might actually provide a nice visibility benefit. But why would you want something like this? If it's not changing the resolution your game is actually rendering at with any fancy trickery, what's the point? As I mentioned in the intro, so much of technology these days has been converging on the point of the resolution of your content that you watch or play not mattering, and everything working in your favor to just cleanly upscale and convert it to your display's format, which is really neat. One of the big advantages of CRTs is that they have no native pixel resolution, only line counts, so you can get seamless and crisp looking resolution switching and generally no downsides to playing at different resolutions. Meanwhile, as I covered in my recent CRT video essay, most LCDs have a really hard time scaling, say, 1080p to 4K or other non-native resolutions to their native resolution formats. OLEDs are improving upon this, but even with my super expensive Samsung Odyssey G7, it takes 20 milliseconds to scale 1080p to 1440p, which is wild. LCDs are very behind. On top of the added input latency, scalers built into most TVs and monitors do a really blurry, bad job of scaling in the first place. We're seeing more displays introduce better scaling models and even some with integer scaling, but it's very slow progress, and in the meantime, a device like the 4K Gamer Pro is a very nice luxury to bring your 1080p sources into the 4K era. It's not limited to the Nintendo Switch either. This device works with any 1080p source, including Chromecast and Apple TV and other consoles. It's also a great option for capturing the PlayStation 3 without HDCP issues, though the PS3 will run into an immediate frustration of this device. It doesn't support 720p. This is strange to me, given that 720p also evenly scales to 4K, so it should be just as quick and supported by the same hardware, but the 4K Gamer Pro only works with 1080p and only 60Hz. HDR is supposedly supported, however. This is an issue for PS3 specifically because many games can't scale to 1080p on the console and will force you to a 720p mode, which then won't work here. Streaming-wise, it's just a normal 4K 60 signal, so all the usual requirements for 4K compatible capture cards, such as the ones from Elgato, AverMedia, or Magewell, or the 4K pass-through ones, including new ones from EVGA and Asus, apply here. Nothing to worry about. $118 via the Kickstarter is a lot of money for something that's literally just a passive luxury to have, but for those who are looking to solve this particular problem, it's fairly affordable for something that scales up to 4K, and you can get real weird with it by daisy chaining it with the RetroTink 5X Pro at 1080p for 4K retro gaming, cheaper than having the new 4K RetroTink that's coming out in the future. Plus, there is no significant added latency with this either. Honestly, I'd rather see this kind of stuff being built into most TVs along with integer scaling as an option. TV manufacturers manufacturers need to get their shit together and start including this stuff in their TV processing, rather than forcing everyone to vomit with motion interpolation. If you're watching videos like this to get serious about streaming and you're considering streaming 4K content even, then you should get serious about treating your stream and your content creation as a business. With that, you need your own domain name, either to host your own off-platform website or to use it just for emails to communicate with potential sponsors, companies for game keys or review units. You want to present yourself nicely and stand out from the crowd rather than having a Yahoo, Hotmail, email, whatever. Getting a custom domain name to use for requesting review samples and contacting sponsors was a crucial step in establishing my channel as a business early on. For a blazing fast domain buying experience with over 400 domain extensions, including awesome ones like .stream and .live, as well as award-winning customer service, head over to hover.com/EposVox and save 10% on your new online home. Kickstarter link for the 4K Gamer Pro will be linked below. Down there will also be a link to a playlist with my other scaler reviews if you want to keep digging down this particular rabbit hole, along with my LG CX review. Remember, be kind, rewind.